Hello, cocktail aficionados. John Moser here for another edition of Cocktails Out of Quarantine. Episode, 13, 14? I've actually lost count. It's the solstice, so happy solstice, everyone. And if it's anything where you are, like where I am, it's hot. It's up there, probably close to 90 degrees, and it's really muggy, but this is a perfect day for a good summery style cocktail. And the one I'm going to make for you today is the Basil Smash, or sometimes called the Gin Basil Smash. This is not an old cocktail. It goes back to 2008 when a legendary bartender from a bar called Le Lion Bar de Paris in Hamburg, Germany, he came up with this cocktail and he entered it into the Tales of the Cocktail competition in 2008 in New Orleans, and it won Best New Cocktail. Let me just say something about gin. Gin is not my favorite liquor. And I frankly find the taste a little bit weird, but I want to talk in praise of gin today, because I don't think I'm alone in thinking that gin has kind of an odd taste. Because I don't know anyone who would go to a bar and say, give me some gin neat, or gin on the rocks. It just seems odd. Even the gin lovers I know always at least add tonic water, so they always have to have some other flavor in there. But here's what's wonderful about gin. Imagine a continuum of liquors, where on one side you've got whiskey, right? I love whiskey, my favorite. Whiskey, bourbon, rye, you name it. Scotch, I don't much care for that, but never mind. Here's the thing with whiskey. I have no trouble drinking that straight. A lot of people drink it straight. It's perfectly natural. Neat or on the rocks, whatever. But you have to be careful when making a cocktail out of whiskey, because whiskey's like that guy comes into the room, I'll take it over now, right? Whiskey. So whiskey can really dominate a drink. On the other end of this continuum, you've got vodka. I don't think vodka tastes like much of anything, which is why vodka cocktails are like the drinks that people who don't really like liquor, but they want to get drunk, they tend to like it. No offense to them, of course. So vodka just sort of fades into the background of whatever you're mixing it with. But gin is right in that sweet spot in the middle. I mean, it's you taste the gin is there, but it brings everything else that's mixed in with it together. So that's why I think gin might be the perfect cocktail liquor. And there's no better way of illustrating the qualities of gin than to make a gin basil smash. Here's what you're gonna need to make it. My wife Monica has been growing this little herb garden. And as you can see, we've got plenty of basil. So we're not gonna skimp. The recipe I have calls for about a dozen leaves. So this is gonna be a very basil forward drink recipe. So if you don't like basil, you're not gonna like it. But then, you probably knew by the name, if you didn't like basil, you weren't going to enjoy this drink very much. So just get a few more here. The basil smash is not a difficult recipe. You're gonna use a dry gin. This is a new one that our friends Eric and Ina Pullen gave us. Actually gave my wife Monica, but I think she'll be okay with my using some. Schlichte Steinhager dry gin. The Germans make gin, who knew? There's gonna be a little bit of simple syrup to give us some sweetness. We're gonna have lemon juice, fresh of course, that makes such a difference. And then we've got our dozen basil leaves. Again, it's a very basil forward recipe. So let's make the basil smash. For this recipe, you don't want to start with any ice in your shaker. The ice will come later. The first thing you want to do is put your basil leaves into the bottom. And it's good to get some liquid in there with it. So I am going to put in 3/4 of an ounce of lemon juice. I think this lemon is going to be just about perfect for 3/4 of an ounce. Yep. Perfect. Pour that on in there. And then about 1/3 of an ounce of simple syrup. There we go. And now we're going to grab our muddler. There we go, the wonderful muddler. And go to town on this. We're going to pound the heck out of it. And the good reason to do so is you want to break up some of the leaf so you get some pieces of it in your drink, but you don't want the whole, whole leaf necessarily going in there. Okay, mix it up good. Now we're going to add some ice. We're going to put 2 ounces of our schlichte gin on top of that. There we go. And we are going to give it a shake. Now, because you have, we have big pieces of basil leaf in there, if we try to dump it with the strainer that's built in here, it's probably just going to get clogged. So I'm going to take that off and put this cocktail strainer over it. And going to pour that right over the top. Look at that. Look at that color. Now, ideally, you would put a nice basil sprig on the top, but I didn't think to get a basil sprig, but that's okay. I'm going to go garnish free for this one. The basil smash. Really good. Wow. Like I said about gin, you got the gin, you got sweetness, you got sour, and you got that basil. That's so good. So, fix yourself a basil smash to celebrate your solstice. Cheers.